Dukkhapattaca nidukkha bhayapattaca nibhaya sokapattaca nisoka hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. With this metta wish, let us focus our mind on this morning's Dhamma talk on Vedana, feeling. Day before yesterday, I gave one half of Nakula Pitta's story, where I started talking a little bit about feeling. Nakula Pitta complained to the Buddha that he felt aches and pain all over his body. The Buddha asked him not to have a second dart. First dart is the aches and pains of the body. Second dart is having aches and pain in the mind. So when he did not understand this, and yet was very pleased to see the Buddha, he was going when the Sariputta met him. He reported the conversation to Venerable Sariputta and asked him to explain it. Venerable Sariputta explained it, and by asking him questions, asking Nakula Pitta questions, he asked Nakula Pitta, do you think form is permanent or impermanent? This way he went on. The answer is impermanent. Feeling permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. Perception permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. Volitional formations are impermanent or impermanent? Impermanent. Consciousness permanent or impermanent? So he admitted that form, feeling, perception, thought and volitional formations and consciousness are impermanent. Then Venerable Sariputta asked him, that which is impermanent, subject to change, is it proper to see that which is impermanent? Is it satisfactory or unsatisfactory? Unsatisfactory. So he went through again the 5 aggregate: form, feeling, perception, thought and consciousness. Nakula Pitta admit they're all impermanent and therefore they are unsatisfactory. Then Venerable Sariputta asked him, if they are impermanent, unsatisfactory, is it proper for you to think that this is mine, this I am, this is myself? Answer was, no, Venerable Sir. Here this means, is the form itself, is the form I am the form, or the form is myself? Nakula Pitta said, no, Venerable Sir. That means form is not mine, form, I am not the form, and form is not myself. Similarly, feeling, perception, thought and consciousness, he said, each of them, he said, is not mine, I am not each of them. None of them is self. So what he convinced Nakulapita to understand or accept is that form, feeling, perception, thought and consciousness are all impermanent, all are unsatisfactory, and therefore all of them not mine, I am not them, nor are they my self. When one meditates on this, when the Sariputta said, you will be free from mental second dart, you will not have the second dart. So long as you have been thinking, so long as you think, form, feeling, perception, thought and consciousness are they are, I am them, they are myself. Mentally you suffer. Mentally you have mental ache and pain. Buddha asked Buddha asked Nakulapita, try to understand impermanent nature of this feeling, aches and pains, bodily aches and pains. Try to understand them as they are impermanent, unsatisfactory and without self. When you deal them there in this way, deal with them in this way, your mind will not be affected, mind will not be afflicted. So you keep the mind free from aches and pains. In other words, this is how one should use form, feeling, perception, thought and consciousness and their aches and pains with mindfulness. We use them with mindfulness. We look at them with mindfulness. We look at them with yoniso manasikara, with mindful or wise reflection. When we wisely look at them, there will not be mental pain, mental sorrow, lamentation, pain and grief and despair. So, this is the introduction to our feeling section in the Satipatthana Sutta. All these are not in the Sutta as such, but impermanence is definitely there. So, the meditator then feels pleasant feeling. The person's mind should not go above and beyond pleasant feeling and focus the mind on the pleasant feeling. Isolate pleasant feeling. At the end of the section, we see, at the beginning of the discourse, we learn mindful meditate on feeling vedanasu vedananupassi viharati. He contemplates feeling in the feelings plural. First feeling is singular, second is plural. Feeling in the feelings. Why plural? Because there are many feelings, not only pleasant feeling. However, when the pleasant feeling is present, unpleasant feeling is not there, neutral feeling is not there, only the pleasant feeling is there. So, we have to relate all these things to other sections, sort of make a cross-reference. In the past, we learned in Bhaddegarata Sutta, Pachupanna Jiva Dhamman Tatta Tatta Vipassati. Pachupanna means present, this very present moment. Parimukang Sating, we mentioned that Parimukang Sating, this very present moment. In this very present moment, pleasant feeling arises. We must be mindful of that pleasant feeling, separated from unpleasant or neutral feelings. So when you pay attention to that, you can see the entirety of pleasant feeling, entire complete pleasant feeling. Sometimes Buddha call it Vedana Kaya. The entire pleasantness is the pleasant feeling, and we have to see that exactly as it is. When we focus the mind on the pleasant feeling is not going to be permanent. We try to keep it permanent. We keep paying attention to that pleasant feeling because of the very nature of anything that arises must pass away. Pleasant feeling is arisen due to conditions. When those conditions disappear, pleasant feeling disappears. For instance, when we get pleasant feeling from the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So pleasant feeling can arise from 6 places, from the 6 senses. When we see currently very pleasant object that you like, each and every person likes something, that person gets pleasant feeling. The pleasant feeling is not in the object. Pleasant feeling is not in the mind. Pleasant feeling arises temporarily by focusing mind or when object is present in front of the eye. Pleasant feeling arises when the eye, visual objects, consciousness, contact come together. When these 4 factors come together, now we have an object. We have the eye. Immediately when they come together, consciousness arises. That instant, contact arises. Next is the feeling. If the object is pleasant, the pleasant feeling arises. Now, you cannot see the pleasant feeling. What you see as pleasant may not be pleasant to any other person. So you have previously conditioned your eye to appreciate something, and when that arises, pleasant feeling arises. I tell you my personal experience. I had a friend who, an artist. He had plenty of his own pictures, drawings. He brought them to, when I was in Malaysia, he has been going in Asian countries exhibiting his painting. So when he brought the whole box came to Malaysian temple where I lived, we opened the box in front of him. There was one picture. As soon as I saw the picture, I said to him, "Why did you bring this? It's so ugly. Nobody will buy this one. Nobody will like it." Then he said, "No, don't worry. You speak too quickly. You wait. On the day they opened the exhibition, I also went there, his, personal picture exhibition. As soon as he opened the box, somebody bought that picture for $500. The one I said ugly was beautiful to him. He was very pleased. He bought it. You see, therefore, though that person has trained his mind in a certain way to appreciate certain things. I have trained my mind to appreciate certain things in my way. So the pleasantness or ugliness is not in the picture. It is how you behold. Behold beauty, therefore, pleasantness, therefore, is in the eye of the beholder, not in the object. Anyway, when you remember that you have seen such a thing in the past, or you see something now, pleasantness arises in your mind. That is called pleasant feeling. That pleasant feeling, when you remember that particular thing in the past, and next moment something else happens, somebody talks and you have to think of various things, your telephone call, your writing, you forget that. That instant, that beautiful pleasant feeling gone, disappears. Or you are seeing something very pleasant now, while you are seeing that very pleasant thing, this very moment, something happens. Your cat jumps, your dog, whining. Yeah. Sure. Or your child cries, you remember some office or something like that. Happens, and that very moment, that pleasantness that you have been experiencing disappears. Unpleasantness arises. So, this pleasantness or pleasant feeling is not something permanent. Also, when the Sariputta said to Nakula Pita, this pleasant feeling, when disappeared, you get upset. Dukkha arises. From the pleasant feeling, you are enjoying it, having pleasant sensation, pleasant feeling, pleasant sensation. When it disappears, that very instant, you have unpleasant feeling, dukkha. So, the pleasant feeling also, pleasantness also is not something permanent. It appears and it disappears. So, from the eyes, from the sound, we experience something very pleasant, listening to very beautiful music, very meaningful talk, something very pleasant you are listening. It may be birds singing or somebody singing a song, classical music, whatever. Something you have been enjoying, and if someone interrupts, you get upset. You are listening to it, enjoying it, having pleasant feelings, and then if something comes and something interrupts that instant you get upset. So where is the pleasant feeling? It goes, disappears. Similarly, when you smell, the most, sweetest smell on earth, heavenly smell, you have been smelling. Then wind blows, that smell disappears. You get upset. Similarly, you are tasting food or drink, very, very tasty, and something happens. You are enjoying very sweet or delicious meal, and suddenly you see cockroaches in your food. You forget the pleasant feeling, you get very upset, and you taste, you throw away the food. Where is the pleasant feeling coming from the taste? Disappeared. Similarly, touch. Whenever pleasant feeling we get from the touch, if something happens and disturbed, interrupted, removed it from our touch, then pleasant feeling disappears. Then even the thought, remembering something very beautiful, like having a very sweet dream. You are in a dreamy state. While awake you are dreaming, and then you remember something in the imagination, something very pleasant, and something else happens and interrupted, you lose that pleasant feeling. So, Venerable Sariputta told Nakula Pitta, through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind, when you hear sight, when you have sight, sound, smell, taste, touch and thought, which are very pleasant to you, when that pleasant object is present, you experience pleasant feeling. So, Buddha said, tatta tatta vipassati. Be mindful of how it happens, how quickly it disappears, that very instant, how quickly it arises due to various conditions, and how quickly they disappear due to various other conditions. So, seeing this is called Sukhang Vedana Vedyamano, Sukhang Vedana Vedyamita Pajanati. Only that moment you experience pleasant sensation, pleasant feeling. At that moment, don't expect that pleasant feeling to be permanent, and that pleasant feeling to give you permanent happiness. And don't expect that pleasant feeling is yours. Don't think that my pleasant feeling and so forth, don't try to possess it. And don't try to think this pleasant feeling is the nature of myself. Self has this pleasant feeling. Like that, we have to understand the pleasant feeling as it arises, so ephemeral, so quickly changing, and that quickly arising, quickly changing nature of the pleasant feeling should be fully comprehended. Sukhang Vedanang Vedyamano, Sukhang Vedanang Vedyamiti Pajanati. this clearly comprehend pleasant feeling when arises, that is pleasant feeling. When unpleasant feeling, when feeling painful feeling, the meditator must understand this is painful feeling. And painful feeling also arises exactly the same way pleasant feeling arises. Through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind. Form, sound, smell, taste, touch and thought. Six kind of consciousness, six kind of contact, and then feeling arises. Unpleasant feeling arises. That unpleasant feeling also is not in the object, not settled not in the mind, but when these combinations come together, senses, sensory object, consciousness, contact come together, feeling arises. If according to your previously conditioned state, the object happen to be in your own way unpleasant, then unpleasant feeling arises. So neither pleasant feeling nor unpleasant feeling is permanently settled in your mind, not coming from your mind alone. Just like delivering a baby. It is not already settled inside, but that instant this combination come together, that unpleasant feeling arises. Next moment, when those conditions separate, your unpleasant feeling disappears. So, when painful feeling, he understands painful feeling, without saying to yourself, I feel a painful feeling. I feel the painful feeling. That is exactly what Venerable Sariputta told Nakulapita. Don't bring I into that unpleasant or painful feeling. Just isolate painful feeling from all other feelings. Become aware of unpleasantness of painful feeling. And when we isolate it, it is easy to deal with. And therefore, Nakulapita was instructed by Venerable Sariputta, don't say this is mine, I am this, like I feel painful feeling. When you say I feel painful feeling, then you try to possess the painful feeling as yours or as something yours. You don't say this is mine. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling are not yours. That is just a phenomena dependently arising and dependently disappearing. In dependent origination we learn when this is, this is. When this rises, this rises. When this is not, this is not. When this passes away, this passes away. These four sentences we always must remember. So, painful feeling, this is a very subtle, clear, very subtle, very fine way of seeing things exactly as they are. So, when a painful feeling arises, be aware of painful feeling per se as painful feeling, without saying, I feel painful feeling. If you bring I into the picture, then all sort of other things will be stirred up and they will all trouble your mind. Now friends, I want to end this session this morning. I also want to make this announcement. Thank you for reminding me. Beginning today, we will no longer be hosting this meditation Dhamma talk session on Wednesday morning.